Hello, my name is Bill Bross, and I'm a developer here at Veith Consulting. Today's video is going to cover attendee management within the event registration system. Today's video, we're going to look at how you can add and edit attendees into your event. We're also going to look at how you can run some basic attendee reports and also manage attendee invoices and payments and look at those from the admin side. Now you'll see here we're on the first page of event registration where it lists all of your events. And then on the right side of each event, we've got some different functions and then under option list right here. So the one we're going to be looking at today is attendees. If you're interested in the message or survey function, you can check out one of our general trainings. We cover those in depth, but these are basically you can send a message or broadcast email to all of your attendees with different options. And this one here, you can do the same thing, but you can send a survey instead and keep track of those survey results. Today, we're mainly going to focus on how you can add and edit attendees and then look at a handful of reports here. So for this event here, we're going to edit first. And this page here is going to be your main attendee list. So most of the information that you're going to get about attendees is going to come right from here. You can see here we've got the event contacts listed right down here. We can click on this to organize them by organization or contact if we want to. And then we've got the actual attendees right here. So you'll see even if I'm added as a contact, it also adds them as an attendee over here. So if you're looking at the sheer number of people coming at the event or coming to the event, this is the column that you want. These are your actual attendees, and these are just the contact people for each set of or for each group. We've got their payment method, their invoice, and then we've got a set of functions over here as well. So we'll come back to these in just a moment. But from this page, you can also add people directly to the event as an admin. You've got a few different options on how you can do that. If they're in your database, you can search for them right here. So I can just type in and search, and it will automatically do that without you having to click on search unless there's a lot of results. But I can pull up the results I want right here and then add directly from there. If they're not in my database, I know they're a guest, I can click Add Attendee right here, and it will start the process. Or if I just want to pick the name from a list, this list right here searches the same thing as this one, but you can go to quickly to people if you know exactly who you want from the list. They work pretty much the same way. All right, so we're just going to add my prospect account here just to get an idea of how this works. So as soon as you click Add, it's going to launch you into the event registration process. And this is pretty much exactly what the event attendee will see if they were to register themselves. The only difference is you don't have to go through the authentication as an admin because you're declaring straight out whether the person is a member or a guest or anything like that. So they'll either say your authentication page first and then come to this, or straight into this if you're not using authentication. All right, but anyway, we'll leave this information the same, although you can change it as you want, or if you want, and we'll continue. And we'll come to the second page of registration. And again, this is exactly what the attendee is going to see as they register. The main difference here is that even if you're using locked packages and you're locking them based on permissions, if you're in admin mode, you can see you have access to everything. So you can give somebody a package that normally they wouldn't be allowed to see, or you can see all your restricted packages as well, and fields. So that's one thing to keep in mind is when you're registering as an admin, don't worry that you can see all the fields because the attendees, the permissions will still apply to them if they're not in admin mode. Admin mode just gives you override permissions to pretty much everything. So we'll register as normal. We'll pick a package right here. We'll go down here and we'll see that this one is required, so we'll have to pick this one. This one's also required, so we'll pick an option here. This one also is required. Those ones are not. Okay, looks like we're good on the rest of them. And then just in case you were wondering, I haven't showed these off in other videos, we have these more information ones. This is how they will see the instructions if you put them on there. And there's options to show these by default as well. But again, this is pretty much exactly what the attendee is going to see. You just as an admin, you see all the extra options. So we'll say continue here, and this will save that registration. And so now you can see we come to the summary page where we've got the contact info for the person I registered and my attendee. If I wanted to as an admin, I can add another attendee to the registration, or I can complete the registration. Or if I wanted to, I can even change the contact info, change the attendee info, or even remove this person completely if I wanted to. We're not going to do any of that because it just goes through the same process as before. If we were to add another one, it would just take us right back to that attendee page and we'd pick another package and fields and everything. So instead, we're going to complete the registration. And this page will come to the payment methods page. Again, even if you have restrictions on here that restricts what normal people can see, if you're in admin mode, you'll be able to see all the options here. So you can restrict pay by check if you want to for the entire event. But if you as an admin would just want to mark somebody as pay by check, that's perfectly fine. And that option is available to you, but not to attendees if you set it up that way. All right, so we'll pick pay by check and we'll continue. And you'll see here, we get to the same exact confirmation page that the attendee will see. They get all the event information and their instructions over here. We have our add to calendar buttons here, and then we've got the event summary. And then the main difference here is that as an admin, I get an option right here where I can go back to my event registration management page, which is that attendee list that we were on before. And you can see now I've registered right here. Let's try to just select that one. We're right here at the bottom here. I've registered that person. And we've got my check, and it's created the invoice, and it's all done as far as it's concerned. It's created everything that it needs to. You'll also see I get a little eye icon next to these ones. I can click on any of these and get a summary, and this will generate a little PDF that I can use that just has what the attendee selected on it. So we can see only the options that I picked here. Here's the package I got. Here's my payment info and my contact info and the event name. So it will do this for every attendee for every event. So you always have access to these quick registration summary sheets. Another thing I'll point out on here, under my payment method, you'll see that I registered with check, which is CHK on here. Some of these other ones here, we've got INV, which stands for invoice, so if they chose the bill me or invoice me option. We've got EBT, which stands for event, which is if they pick to pay at the event. We've got CCP, which is credit card by phone. Or I'm sorry, that's credit card payment. And then CCF is credit card by phone. I'm sorry, credit card fax. There we go. And so that's another one you might see on there. And then POP is a purchase order payment. So any of those you might see on there. And then after each one, you'll see this one. So pub means that they registered in the public area. And then ADM means that they were registered manually by an admin. You might also see MA in there, which means that they're registered through the members area. You'll also see here, since I went through this, it created an invoice for me, and we can view that here. And this page actually, if you want to make any payments for them as well. So this gives me the invoice information for myself that I just registered. I can view it right here if I want, or I can email it. I also have the amount here. I've got the invoice date, and I have the ability to change that if I want to. We've got the payment method, and it lets me know if it's paid or not. So this one has not been paid, obviously. So from here, we can either record a new payment, or we can process an online payment. You'll want to do record new payment if you're doing like a check or a cash payment or a purchase order or something. And you can even mark if it's credit or not. You can say, hey, you want a $200 credit for this, and we'll mark you as paid. Or we can enter a check number right in there and the payment amount. So we can even do partial amounts for this one. So say, I send in a check for $50 and we submitted it. It's going to enter this payment in and it's going to update it. So now it knows that I only owe $150, but I'm still not marked as paid yet. And you can see I've got my payment information right in here. And with any of these payments, I have the ability to edit it, which will take me right back to that screen here. So right back to that screen I was just on. We can edit it from there. We also can void it, which will just completely remove it. Or we can send a receipt. So sometimes if they make multiple payments, or if they make a payment in general, they'll want or need a receipt. You can click this one right here, and it will give you the option right here to send it. So it will put in default information and text here, but you can always change this if you want to. There's also some default verbiage that you can change if you want it to be different than that. And then also there's a PDF that it will attach to that with their receipt that they can look at. So it's easy as that to send them a receipt. And then if they called on the phone or they were in person and they wanted to process a credit card, we could do process online payment via gateway. And then this would link over into whatever payment gateway we had. In this case, it looks like it's authorized.net. But whatever payment gateway you have set up, whether it be PayPal or authorized.net or Payflow, any of those ones, it will link up directly to that and allow you to process that payment. So that's how you deal with payments after the attendee has come back in and they haven't done anything yet. All right, so we'll go back to my attendee list here. So that's how you would set up a brand new person. That's how you would enter a payment and take a look at all their invoice stuff. And also how you would email them their invoice or a receipt or any of that kind of stuff. It can all be accessed from this page and then through the invoice section. Now, another thing that will come up is people need to change their registration after they've already registered. Now, attendees cannot change their own information. It's all transactional. As soon as they've finished registering, they're all done. They can only be changed by an admin from there. So what frequently happens is somebody will call up and say, hey, I can't make this session anymore. Can you sign me up for this one instead? So as an admin, you'll come in here and you'll click the edit button next to them. And that's what this one's for here. So if we click on that one, this is going to pull up. Again, we'll see the same page right here. This is their contact information. And we can continue past if there's no changes there. And then where it does is it takes us directly to the summary page. So if they need to change their options, what we need to do is we need to click Change Attendee Info right here. So this click right here will take us to the registration page again. And you'll see here it's already got pre-filled in everything that they selected already. So, if for whatever reason this person could not make this session and they wanted to go to this one instead, we could change that for them as an admin. Go all the way to the bottom and click continue. And then this will take us to this page here. One thing you'll need to remember is you need to complete the entire process in order for this to make changes. So if I were to leave this page right now, that's not good. I have to complete the registration first, or none of these changes will take effect, and it will affect your invoices. So as long as you click complete registration and get right back to this attendee list, then you're all good. So like I said, just make sure to follow through on the process the whole way and don't quit halfway through, or you'll end up with some incomplete and corrupted data. All right, so that's how you'll change somebody. The only thing you might run into is if somebody is marked paid. So like, for example, this one is here. It locks some of the event registration informations, or some of the event registration information. Now, that is to prevent basically manipulations going on with the payments or anything messing around with things that have already been paid, and we don't want to change the invoice drastically at that point. In those cases, what you'll need to do is you'll need to void the payment. Then you'll need to make the changes you need to make, and then record the new payment. Now, voiding a payment on this screen does not actually remove any money for your account. You must issue a refund for that, and that's a whole separate thing that we have to set up for you. So anything here, this is just information that you're editing in the MMS. So if you delete and void a payment here, that does not remove any money for your bank account. It does not refund it to the attendee. All it does is it allows you to basically edit the registration again, and then you can come back in and unvoid and re-add the payment. So that's the best way to deal with things like that. It doesn't happen a whole lot, but it does happen sometimes. All right, so going back to this screen here, we'll go over some of these other functions here on the right. This one right here will allow you to add notes to it. So if I just click on it right here, it's a very simple thing. It just gives me a field, gives me their registration date, and I can just add some notes right here. So these are notes. And these are admin-only notes, but you can also see that they show up right here on the list here. So this is a great way if, this is only for admins. So, but if you're sharing with other admins, you need to make a note, like this guy says he's going to pay by check, or he hasn't paid yet and said he would, or, anything like that that you want other admins to see. You can add them right in there as admin notes. It's a great thing to add there. Another thing you can do is you can void out attendees. That's the X right here. So we'll remove this one right here at the bottom. If we just click the X right here, it's going to confirm and make sure that we actually want to delete and void this person. And it's going to void the registration and the invoice and payment records as well. So we're going to click to void. Now, the only time it's not going to let you void is if somebody has a payment record. Excuse me, even if it's not a full payment, even if they just made a partial payment record. Because at that point, you don't want to start voiding someone's registration because it will mess with any of your billing settings. So you'll have to do those kind of in order there. The next one after here is this mail icon. It's to resend the confirmation email. So at the end of registration, everyone receives a confirmation email with a list of what they signed up for and information about the event and all sorts of other stuff. If anyone ever says, hey, I didn't receive this, or can you send it again? I accidentally deleted it. You can just click this icon right here. And we'll send it to myself. And it just says, are you sure you want to resend it? And then you say send. And that will automatically, and it will let you know that it's been confirmed up here. And that will automatically send that email to that person. You don't need to do anything else other than that. And then the final option here at the end is print name badge. We do have certain name badges that we can link up here. It really depends on what your setup is. But these ones right here are just some basic name badges with barcodes meant for like small individual printers. So if you're interested in doing something like this, let us know kind of what printer you have and what badge code scanner, and we can adjust these or change things for you that would work. All right, so this is pretty much all that's on this attendee page. Oh, actually, one more thing here. These little checkboxes right here indicate whether someone was actually attended the event or not. So if you see reports in the system about attendance and checking things like that, that's what that means. So a check mark in this box basically indicates that they registered and they actually attended one. If it's not checked, it indicates that they registered but they didn't actually show up. And you have options here at the bottom where you can clear all or mark all if you want to. But like I said, some different reports use that, and you can actually pull those in on some different like email settings or things like that to group them together. All right. The only other thing here is you can see people you voided. So that person that I just voided a few moments ago shows up right down here, and anyone else if you want to do that. I mean, you can click Show Voids, and it will show them back in line here. So if you want to look specifically at what their invoice looked like or something like that, you can do that to show them. All right, so that's pretty much the attendee page. Let's look at some reports real quick. And like I said, those were on the one, those were right next to them on the list, but they're also right up here at the top of this page, so we can look at them from here. So this reports page is divided up into a few different sections. We've got a query creator right here, which we'll go into in a moment, because it's a very useful report. What you can do here is you can sort of design your own parameters per event and run some custom reports that way. Down below here, we've got attendee reports, and these all relate directly to attendee information. So if you want to get a summary or some individual reports, or you want to look it up by options, or you want to get some field counts, or anything like that, that's all going to be under this section. The one that I find most useful in here is this attendee export, comma delimited. What this will essentially do is it will give you a big data dump into a spreadsheet of all of your attendee information separated by rows. So for any kind of detailed reporting or stuff, this is a great report to do. It literally has all registration info in this one that you can sort through. Down below that, we've got attendance reports. And like I was saying before, these relate back to that checkbox section. So anyone that this is checked is considered attended. And so this will give you, so you can look up no-shows, you can look up a CSV of who did attend, or you can get summaries of people who did attend. Down below here, we've got some sign-in sheets. These are basically just PDFs that you can use as sign-in sheets. Basically, the difference between all these is just simple look changes or different columns on some of them. So what I suggest is to look through these and just pick the one that you like the most and use that one. And as you can see, we can easily make more of these ones for people. Down below here, we've got some payment and invoice reports. So these are great if you're looking to see, how many payments you've received, who's paid versus unpaid. If you want to look at all the PDF invoices all at once. This is also great if you want to print these out because it will create big PDFs with all of them in there for you. You can also get some CSV exports as well. So if you want to get spreadsheet data of all your payments for the event, that's right in here. And then finally down here, we have a bunch of name tags. So these are ones that we've made just by default for the system and for other clients throughout the years. You can see some of them are just generic, like 6 per page, larger print, stuff like that. Other ones apply to specific Avery templates and are in Word and other stuff. And then some ones are even made for specific printers, so we can do that as well. So either the thing that I always recommend to people with name tags is if we have one that's close that works for you, we can tweak it a little bit. But if you want to make some really cool custom ones, you can always use this attendee export up here, the CSV of it, and use that in combination with Microsoft Word and do a mail merge. And you can use all sorts of cool attendee data to make your own custom name badges. I mean, we're always happy to do them for you, but this really gives you some powerful tools to be able to do that. All right, well, that's pretty much the reports. Let's go back into the report by query, because this is probably the best one to learn how to use. It's a very, very versatile tool if you get used to it. So again, this is going to look at attendee information. So this is the best way to search through attendees and get some custom reports based on things that you want. The way that this report works is it's got all these options on here, and as you pick things, it's basically connecting them with and. So if I select all these packages, I'm saying I want to look at people who selected this package and selected this package, or I'm sorry, or I'm not using and, we're using or. So we're looking or selected this package, or selected this one, or selected this one. So anything like that, and we're including that in there. So we can either select all or none right here. So let's just say we're only going to look at the executive. We don't want anyone else other than that in this report. If we only want to find out who selected certain things in here, we could select that. Or we could just say that it's unused. Everything's going to be unused by default. You can also choose for any of these ones here. If you want to know who registered, so if they want to only find people who registered after a certain date or before a certain date, you can do that as well. So let's add, we're going to make this so that it only pulls my result that I just made today. So we're only going to look for ones that have registered after 9/1. We can also limit it by state. We can even look and say by payment method. So we can only look for people who were paid or people who were unpaid if we want to. Or I'm sorry, the payment status is that one. And then the payment method is down here. So if we want to look at people who were completely paid and paid by credit card, we could limit it that way. So we can do any kind of combination of those ones. We can sort people however we want. So we can say by default we want to sort them by name. And then we choose our output selection. And this is another really useful part of this. So an attendee report is just going to be a basic table that shows you this information on here. So it's a pretty useful one to use. Comma delimited is, again, a spreadsheet. So if you want, we were talking about that attendee comma delimited spreadsheet before. It's very useful. This will do the same thing, but you can even make it more specific if you want to. So if you only want specific people in that spreadsheet, that's a great one to use. We can make them as mailing labels. So if you're mailing things out, we can make a sign-in sheet with just these people on there. And then we can do a whole bunch of different types of name badges, and we can always add more different ones into here. We can spit out a transaction summary of what what their whole transaction looked like, or we can do an HTML table. We're going to do an HTML table because that one actually has a few more options. All the other ones will generate immediately, but this one has a few more options, so we're going to select that one for now. And we say generate report. Now, when we pick this one, we get a list of fields. So again, this only comes up if you pick HTML table. So again, I really like this report because it really allows you to customize what you want. So when it says field to include, this means this is the data that it's going to show you on the output of this report. So you're going to hold down Control to select multiple ones, and then just select the ones that you want. So we're going to say I want these ones, and I want my email, and my invoice number, and the transaction amount. And then you can even get, you see down here, we can even get what you chose for specific things down here. So let's say I want to find out what I chose for these three right here. Once you've picked all the fields that you want, you say generate report. And after it loads here, it's going to load the information. So just as we suspected, I get only my result because I was only looking at people who registered after a certain date and with the specific package I took. We've included all the fields that I wanted on here with the address, the city, the zip, my email. We've got my invoice number, how much, and then all my specific custom fields in here. So again, this is really, really powerful if you want to really limit down attendees and how much, what you're reporting on at any given time. And with this too, you can easily highlight everything and copy it into Word or into a spreadsheet or something like that from here if you want to save this data somehow. All right. Well, like I said, that's about all we have on attendee management. So we can, add added people. We can look at reports. We can do all sorts of stuff here. I hope this video was helpful, and as always, have a great day. Thank you.